If you actually want to get better at fighting, this is the player you need to watch. This is Tjino. He had the most kills at Globals this year, won FNCS on the hardest region just a year and a half after his first Grand Finals, and somehow, he still isn't talked about enough. I reached out to Tjino to see what makes his fighting so good, and he said, well, that he doesn't know, and I'll have to figure it out myself. Well, that's exactly what I did. This was one of the easiest player analysis videos I've ever made to find tips for you guys, because Tjino's fighting IQ is so high and his movement and peaks are ridiculously good. One mechanic that Tjino utilizes better than any pro I've looked at so far is his total mastery of sliding. Many people aren't totally aware of this, but sliding received a massive buff at the start of Chapter 7, where you're able to pick up and retain momentum much more than before. Here's an example of Tjino using this. To start this fight, he wingsuits on top of the gas station, and he keeps his momentum and jumps using the wingsuit cancel technique, then places backward stairs and slides down them to retain his momentum. Then slide jumps off the cliff, where he attaches a floor to the bridge to allow him to build more backwards ramps to keep his momentum so he doesn't take fall damage, and jumps off at the height where he won't take fall damage anymore, where he slides through the stair and floor perfectly to instantly appear on the other side of the opponent, where the opponent had absolutely no way to track him since he was moving so fast. Tjino also noticed when he was sliding down his stair that the opponent's wood wall was one hit on the other side, so he sprint jumps to the other side to break the wood wall, completely surprising the opponent, and narrowly misses the shot. Tjino realizes this is a third-party situation though, so he regroups, and notices the other opponent trying to run away here. So to catch up to this opponent and slow him down, Tjino builds up here, where he's able to ADS spray while jumping, and then slides off the rock while doing this and tagging the opponent for most of his shield. Tjino then realizes there's another third-partier above him, but he doesn't know exactly where, so he continues to slide with his momentum, and places walls on the side and cones to cover his head, blocking off the third party. Since he was able to retain his momentum so much while doing this, he's able to surprise the opponent while he's distracted by the third partier, and slide jumps and pumps him to take the opponent out. Watching this fight made me really think about how movement is such an enormous skill gap in Fortnite right now, and sliding is a massive part of that. Here's another example of him using sliding in a fight against a pro. Tjino gets a shotgun on 100 shield really quickly after landing here, and pushing players immediately when they might not have found a shotgun or max shield yet is super important off spawn if you're looking to fight instead of split. He sees Rytex here, who has over 25,000 PR, and lurks up to him. He gets a pistol shot through the window and slide reloads his pistol before getting tagged when he mantles up. Tjino manages to sneak his cone in though, and breaks Rytex's floor before editing his cone up to the right side and breaking through the wood wall before sliding to mess with Rytex's crosshair placement by lowering his character's hitbox and getting a 68 tag since he moved so quickly. Tjino realizes by now that Rytex doesn't have a shotgun, so he plays really aggressive where he pumps Rytex, edits the wall, and sprays in when Rytex looks away for the kill. Here's another fight where Tjino uses some very specific peaks and pressure angles that you guys might not have seen before. In this example, it again starts with Tjino sliding towards the opponent's direction, and when he sees him, he sprint jumps, turns around, and places stairs to retain his momentum before sliding into a pre-fire from a right-hand angle here. Tjino goes up and starts spray sliding around the opponent's box, as this is the fastest way to pressure from different angles like this. He sneaks in a pump shot for a pre-fire while sliding, then sneaks a floor in above the opponent, forcing him into the other box where he hits the cone and then double hits the wall, which the opponent can't edit to pump him quick enough with all these different angles of pressure. He makes this ramp edit that I covered in my other video looking at Tjino, where if the opponent opens on him, he is relatively protected and allows him to pressure, but he relocates as the opponent moves to a different box. Because Tjino knows the opponent created a new box though, he's able to take the opponent's cone where he had previously taken the floor and goes for a quick pump, but resets noticing the opponent was ready and set up for a peanut butter peek. Tjino then slides to the edge of the opponent's cone and starts hitting the wall from above. Another strategy I covered in my last Tjino video where the opponent doesn't have a way to open the wall to pump him, and since the opponent's attention was shifted to the wall, he doesn't look to edit him in from above. Tjino drops and looks for a pre-fire, then makes a nice peek to spray the opponent's wall, and the opponent jumps out the top. Tjino is ready for this though, as he immediately takes his sidewall, but makes a bad edit here where the opponent is able to use his cone positioning to tag Tjino. Tjino starts to pop his chug jug, and the opponent starts pressuring, where Tjino makes a corner edit and goes behind the cone to jump up quickly for a peek, but the opponent is able to hit a nice shot and they trade. What the opponent wasn't ready for was Tjino instantly editing out the top after trading, where Tjino tags him and boxes up again immediately, evening up the health here. Tjino then baits the opponent to open up by momentum sliding over his cone here, then reverses on a dime and slide pickaxes the opponent's cone and takes the cone with a stair. This is another really clever strat he uses here. By replacing the cone with a stair instead of his own cone, he's able to make this left-hand stair edit where he can safely pressure the floor from above, not giving the opponent a good angle here. He weakens the floor then pauses, and sprays through to tag tag the opponent, where he drops down and takes the wall. He then takes the stair from the opponent, and again does the same left hand stair edit here to give him the right hand angle, where he bleeds a bullet through. Tjino thought he took the stair here, but the opponent actually did, so Tjino crouches at an angle where the opponent couldn't edit the stair to peek him easily, and he sprays the stair and pumps the opponent to end the fight. I know that was a long fight, but there was so much valuable info there. The left hand stair peek, the sliding while pressuring to attack from so many angles, the instant counter after trading, and the wall pressure from above strat. Here's one last really quick example of Tjino getting a quick kill with sliding, where he beams this rotating opponent, and then follows him down where he retains his momentum while spraying from falling down this hill, where he easily phases in to finish the opponent. Moving on, as you saw in the longer fight before this, Tjino is also really strong at defensive fighting, especially with his cone edits, which is seen in this example here. He wingsuits in and chops an old fight, as he thought an opponent might be up there still, but the opponent was in the building and makes a sneak play here. Tjino instantly builds up and goes for a really quick leap peek from above like in the other fight, but misses. Tjino leaves his top open to bait the opponent to go all the way to the top here, giving him time to pop a mini before editing down when the opponent gets up there. This is a very similar approach to how Marius defensively fights, where he looks for jump shots from above and baits the opponent to build up before going down and expanding. Tjino gets pressured here and sets up this peanut butter, but realizes that he's at the risk of getting one hit, so he backs out and sets up this window peek right when the opponent one hits his metal wall as expected and narrowly misses. Tjino doesn't open up here and drops down to fake out the opponent, where the opponent drops too, and Tjino goes back up and expands to give himself time to pop a mini, and the opponent tries to break in from above, where Tjino instantly edits the cone up to block the opponent's shot, creating a box inside of a box here essentially, and reacts to the opponent spraying out his cone to hit a big 134 tag during the opponent's pump delay. Tjino heals up but gets hit hard again from a quick window peek from the opponent, and it's fair to say by now Tjino realizes this is a pretty formidable opponent here. Tjino then heals up a little bit, but the opponent pressures, where he edits his cone up to create his 2 layers of protection. Tjino then edits the other tile up to give him access to the wall the opponent is hitting, and lets him get right to the corner without the opponent being able to see him, where he instantly resets the cone and makes a perfect peanut butter peek to pump the opponent. Tjino is finally able to heal back to full health, and the opponent is looking for a lurk play, but Tjino plays carefully until he's able to locate him, where he fizz jumps up here and ADS's midair to max the opponent to win the fight. The action's not over yet though. Tjino now only has about 60 builds, and a third partier comes to fight. Tjino finds himself in a tough situation where the opponent takes the wall, and he blocks the shot by editing his cone up before dropping down. Tjino then uses the best peek I think I've seen, where your opponent is diagonal to your box, pressuring from above. He runs to the front left corner of the box and hugs the wall here to create a right hand angle for himself, and tags the opponent and resets. Tjino then edits out and looks for a quick shot, but the opponent blocks, and he runs under the builds, where he notices this brick cone is his, where he edits it, and the opponent tries to react pump him, but Tjino cautiously stopped halfway up the stair when he opened the cone to not reveal himself and to locate the opponent before doing anything, where he takes the wall and is able to wide edit and line up a max pump here during the opponent's pump delay. Back to aggressive fighting though, Tjino wingsuits to zone and notices this opponent here, and he stands in the middle of the cone to pressure him. This is really smart because there really isn't an obvious angle the opponent can make on the cone to easily drop him, since it's hard to know exactly where he is, and Tjino can relocate if the opponent edits the floor. Tjino slides down and pickaxes the wall and looks for a pre-fire here, but the opponent is playing pretty defensively here. He starts pickaxing different floors and slides down, and the opponent relocates to a different box, where Tjino pump sprays the wall to take it quickly, where he again does this left hand stair edit with his Mongrel Classic to give him a nice right hand. He then instantly edits the stair to the sideways edit, and the opponent slams his teeth straight into the brick stairs here, where Tjino then switches the peanut butter edit to a window edit without resetting the wall at all to max the opponent to end the fight. This wall edit is really clever, as most players would expect you to reset the wall between these two actions, and editing the wall one less time leaves the wall at higher HP, so the opponent can't take it back as easily. In the next fight, we again see Tjino use this mid-cone pressure strategy. The fight starts with him wingsuiting in, and he notices the opponent gets shot at, so he slide jumps by placing cones to retain momentum to get there quicker. Again, Tjino pressures from the middle of the cone from above here, creating an awkward situation for the opponent, and the opponent is forced to drop here. Tjino notices the opponent forgot to place a cone above his box here, so he runs up to the floor, jumps while swinging his pickaxe, and hits it a second time on the way down to phase in using gravity, where he cracks the opponent's shield. The opponent is able to hold his builds though and goes to the other side of Tjino, but Tjino is able to track his visual audio and not get too focused on breaking out in that direction. He breaks breaks out and the opponent happens to drop at the same time, and he starts spraying the stair and bleeds a bullet through. He notices that the opponent edited out their sidewall here, and the opponent tries to pre-fire him, but Tjino just one-hits this sidewall, and full boxes the opponent here knowing that he has so much more HP and he easily pumps him to finish the fight. Here's another fight where Tjino starts by trying to spray slide into his opponent's box, but isn't able to phase in. He pre-fires and then instantly sprint jumps to create a favorable angle to pressure, where he hits the wall once here, and then makes sure to turn his crosshair exactly to the critical spot to break the wall quicker here, but gets sprayed in the back. He doesn't let that deter him though, where he again hits the critical spot to one-hit the metal wall here, and does it again to take the wall. He noticed the opponent ran back into his other box and reset the metal wall, making it low HP, so he jumps and pumps the wall to one-shot it and take it behind this peanut butter, then does a 6-tile top edit here, sprays the opponent's cone from a relatively safe angle to drop the opponent, where he runs in, takes the cone, and easily finishes off the panicking opponent. As you saw in the previous fight, Tjino has a really good memory for what pieces are weak and what health they are, and this is seen in this example too. He fizz jumps in here, and the opponent tries to disengage to start this fight. Tjino follows and takes doubles, and takes a cone where he snagged the floor here, but the opponent moves again. Tjino follows here, where he edits down on one of his doubles and pump pickaxes the wood wall and takes the wall and stair, where he sees the opponent behind a peanut butter edit, where he opens and resets the stair to bait the opponent into breaking it before pumping, but the opponent was ready for this bait and took the stair here. Tjino notices that the opponent didn't take their floor above them, so he pressures the cone, making the opponent worry about their top where they place a wood floor, but Tjino primarily did this to shift the opponent's attention to above him as he jump slides to the wall here, where he reads the opponent's rebox and nearly pieces him. He tries to pickaxe in, but the opponent holds it, and he again goes up for doubles, and one hits a wall he was previously pressuring to take it. He pressures from below from an angle where the opponent would have to overcommit to pump him from this wall, but the opponent cleverly edits out the side for a tag here. Tjino heals up here, and the opponent doesn't pressure, where he drops and hits the opponent's wall once before fizz jumping back up when the opponent opens and taking the floor. He hits the wood wall once when he falls, and don't forget about this wall here, and he breaks the stair and keeps jumping. The opponent is clearly so focused on the vertical fight here against Tjino with all these builds and fizz jumps, so Tjino drops back down to instantly one-hit the wood wall for a pump, and look at where the opponent is looking. He totally expects pressure from above. The opponent panic mantles, and Tjino is ready and jumps up and pumps him to finish the fight. Here's one last example, where I don't think there's a ton of tips here necessarily, rather I just wanted to show this absolutely insane sequence of awareness and good peeks from Tjino here. Tjino slides in to start this fight, and is able to phase in, where he reacts perfectly to the opponent's escape with a huge pump, then follows him and somehow is ready that there's a zip line right here, where he makes this garage door wide edit to set up the easiest shot and doesn't even hesitate that the opponent might be able to place a stair here, and is somehow totally ready for the zip line there. Someone else comes up the zip line though, and Tjino can't see him and drops to heal, where he looks for 2 peeks on the opponent but can't find the angle before sprinting and editing so fast to box the opponent from above, where he makes the perfect stair edit here to mess with the opponent's POV, before backing out of the box, making the same optimal edit and maxing the opponent here. Completely insane. If you're interested in the other video I made on Tjino's fighting, check it out. There's some really useful strategies and insight in there too, I promise. And take a look at Tjino's channel for lots of tournament content to learn from too.